Today we are going to see one more scenario and we are going to deploy a guest book application on the Kubernetes by the help of Redis Frontend setup explained. So let's see our scenario in detail. Application development team has finished the development of one of the application and it ready for deployment. It is the Guestbook application that will be used to manage entry for the guest and visitor. As per discussion with the DevOps team, they have finalized the infrastructure and that will be deployed on the Kubernetes cluster. Below you can find the more detail about it. So first let's discuss about the backend tier. Create a deployment named Redis master for the Redis master. Replica count should be 1. Container name should be the master Redis data center and it should be image Redis. Request resource as a CPU should be 10 M and memory should be 100 MI. Container port should be Redis default port 6379. Create a service named Redis Masters for the Redis Master port and target port should be Redis default port 6379. Create another deployment name the Redis Labs for the Redis Labs. Replica count should be 2. Container name should be the Slabs Redis data center and it should use the image this one. Request resource as the CPU should be the 100 M and memory should be 100 MI. Define the environment variable get host forms and its value should be DNS. Container port should be Redis and default port should be 6379. Create another service named Redis Labs and it should use the Redis default port 6379. Now let's discuss about the front end. Create a deployment named Frontend. Replica count should be 3 and it should be used this image. Redis request resource as the CPU and should be 100 M and memory should be 100 MI. Define the environment variable name this one and its value should be DNS. Container port should be 80. Create a service name frontend and its type should be node port and port should be 80 and its node port should be 3009. So in short, we are going to deploy one application which was a guestbook application which are used to enter the entry of the guest and visitor coming to office or house. So at the end, what we are going to achieve by deploying this application or what we are going to learn, let's see. Learn how to deploy a complete guestbook application on the Kubernetes cluster using the Redis for the backend data storage and PHP-based front end. This hands-on tutorial walk through you the creating deployment as service for Redis master, Redis labs and front-end application. You shall understand how to configure container resource, environment variable, expose service using node port. What you are going to learn here is creating a Kubernetes deployment for Redis master and slabs, setting resource request for the container, defining environment variable in pod, exposing service with the cluster IP and node port, deploying a front-end application connected to the Redis. So let's see what the YAML file of all deployment and how we are going to deploy it into our production server. So let's go one by one. So first one is let's go through our all the YAML file. So first one is the Redis master deployment. API version is the app v1, kind is deployment and metadata name of the master deployment is Redis masters and we replica is the one selector match label we are going to use the app Redis master template metadata label Redis masters specs container name is this one Image we are going to use the Redis. Resource request we are going to use CPU 100M, and memory we are going to use the 100 mi. Container port of the Redis master is the 6379. Now let's see the Redis master service. API version is the v1, kind is the service, metadata name of the service is Redis masters. In a specs path selector we are going to use the Redis master. Port we have the 6379. Target port we have the 6379. Okay, this is the container port. Now see the Redis slab deployment. API version of the slab deployment is app v1, kind is deployment. Metadata we have the Redis labs. The specs we are going to use the replica 2 and selector match label app colon Redis labs. Template we have the metadata label app Redis labs, specs container name of the slabs, deployment is slab Redis, and image we are going to use this one, and resource we have the request CPU 100M and memory 100M. Then we are going to use the environment variable name get host form, and value is the DNS, and container port is 6379. Then let's see the Redis Labs services. API version is v1, kind is service, metadata name is the Redis Labs, specs selector Redis Labs, whatever we are given in the slab deployment. Port is the 6379 and target port is the 6379 only. Now let's see the front-end deployment. API version is the app v1, kind is deployment, metadata name of the deployment name is the front end, specs replica we are going to use 3, selector match labels app colon front end, template we have metadata label app colon front end. In specs container name is this one, we are going to use this image. Resource part we have the 100 CPU and the 100 mi memory. Environment variable we are get host forms and value is the DNS, and ports we have the container port 80. Now let's see the front end service. API version v1, kind service, metadata name of the service is front end, specs and type is node port. Selector app equal to front end, port we have the 80 and target port also 80, and node port we are going to use the 3009s. And finally we are going to apply this YAML file. Then you will be see the deployment is created and service is created, all three deployment and all the three service created. Same thing we can verify kubectl get all. Then you can see all the pod are created and all the services are created and all deployment are created and all replica set created. And at last, by the help of node port and the node IP, we are going to access this application whatever we deployed. Okay, don't worry, all the step and every YAML file given in the blog and blog link I will be giving in the resource part of this video. Now let's copy the YAML and let's run into our production cluster and see how it's going to work. So I have copied and pasted in the notepad. Let's copy it from here. Now let's go to our production clusters. So this is our production cluster. Create one file. Let's say pod.yaml. Now paste it whatever we have copied, all the YAML file. Now save it from WQ. Now apply it. kubectl apply -f pod.yml. So we can see the deployment is created, service is created, all three deployment, all three service are created. Same thing we can verify kubectl get all. So container still is creating. Let's give some time. Still creating. Let's give some more time. So now we can see that all the pod are in running state and all the services are created, and then all the deployment also in the running state, and all applications it is also created. Now by the help of node port, this node port and the node IP, we are going to access this application. So let's give in the browser the node port and the node IP, and then press enter. Then we can see our applications deployed successfully and we are able to access. So in this way, we are able to deploy our application successfully. Thank you. Happy learning. See